Let's talk about making you feel good this morning, particularly if you've been dealing with some back problems. Once you seem to have a back issue, it can tend to kind of resurface and last for years and years, it can feel like sometimes. Dr. Doug Stidham hears that on a regular basis, and happily for him, at Disc Centers of America, he says, that's okay, I can help you with that. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
And I saw you kind of nodding your head in my peripheral vision when I said that. But it is true, isn't it? Because if you sprain something or pull something, it needs some babying in a different kind of way.
It does, it does. If you have an injury like that, it's not something that, I guess in the beginning, it can kind of go away. And then as we get older and it can become more of a chronic issue, that's what I hear from my patients is like, you know, I'm used to this, it happens, it's a pattern. But now this time it's just not going away. And so what I try to tell people is it's like when you have a disc problem in your spine, it needs to be addressed because it's very much like a cavity.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, when you have a cavity on your tooth, you know for a fact that, okay, I can't brush and floss my way out of this thing.
Right.
I've actually got to address it. So
we had a chance to come out to your office not long ago.
yeah, that was awesome.
It was great. And when we got there, though, I don't remember the details of it, but you were able to share with me some of the things that you treat there at Disc Centers. And it's not just disc issues, is it? Sometimes there are other issues going on with your back that you can also treat.
Absolutely, like sciatica. We also, it's funny, the lumbar nerve roots, they come out and they go down into the glutes and the legs and the feet.
Yeah.
So a lot of times patients that are dealing with neuropathy, it can intensify that by putting pressure. I want you to think of like this. So you've had a water hose.
Yeah.
And you put your thumb on that water hose. And what happens? It comes
Water,
out.
right.
It increases the pressure. It's less water, but it's coming out faster.
Yes.
So even though your body's receiving, if you have pressure from that bulge or herniation, putting pressure on that nerve root, well, you're getting less information to your leg, but it can be intensified. So because it's being sent quickly,
Right.
like that water hose,
Right.
it can increase the pain.
So you are a chiropractor, right?
I am,
But
yeah.
you do so much more. So you sometimes will see people coming in for adjustments and that type of thing.
I do.
You very much want to know what's going on in their life as a whole and then figure out the right approach. But you made a pretty big investment with your decompression treatments because you find that it really does work for people.
It really does, and I think that's one of the things, I think most chiropractors should make the jump to getting a decompression table because when a patient comes in with lower back pain, that's usually what people come into a chiropractor for, right? So we need a solution for disc because if it's just, hey, the bones are stiff and stuck, and once we give you an adjustment and it gets things back on track, that's usually great. That usually works perfectly until it doesn't, until it's a disc issue.
Right.
And there's only really two remedies for a, you know, and I suffered greatly in practice earlier. It was frustrating for me because I was just doing adjustments and I would get people a little bit better. You know, I would adjust them, they'd be like, yeah, doc, I think that feels a little better. And then they'd just come back in 2-3 days and they'd be like, it's back. And we're just playing this tug of war game.
Right.
And I'd end up losing because they were just like, I was just teeing these people up for a surgery they didn't want to have.
Oh, okay. So that is the goal. That is the hope, right, with the decompression treatments, that it can prevent surgery?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And not all surgeries are created. I've had back surgery. I've had a microdiscectomy, and it wasn't a big deal. They went in there, they cleaned it out. They didn't put metal in my back or anything like that, or restrict freedom or movement. So, but fusions that's a big deal.
Right.
That's a big deal.
I think it's a big deal that you just mentioned that you've had a back surgery because that means that you see both sides of the coin here. You're not trying to only have your own tunnel vision.
There's no judgment in my office.
Yeah.
No judgment whatsoever.
So is it only the lower back that's benefited by decompression, or other parts of the body help too?
No, the neck. And it's funny, a lot of lower back patients come in and their problems here, but we do a full workup on them, and what I discover is that the neck is just as big of a culprit. So if you think of the spine as this chain, right? And as we get older, we get this thing called forward head posture.
Oh, yes, we do.
We lose that curve in our neck. And the more forward this goes, wherever your head goes, your body will follow. You've probably been driving
Okay.
along, and if you look over here, your car swerves to that direction,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of that principle. Well, if your head gets out in front and gets straight, you can see, if I just do this, I can feel that tension in my lower back.
Right.
So a lot of times, if I tell people, if we can unlock your neck and decrease that forward head posture, it's going to take pressure off your lower back.
I was going to ask you about the head posture, so I'm glad that you went ahead and went there, because my lead-in was going to be the phones and our sitting at the computer and all of that. And I have found, like I even find myself with a frequent pain in my neck right in here, and I know it's
You are not alone there.
Is it because of the phone usage? Or
I think that's playing a part. I really do. I think that's playing a big role in it. We're looking down at the phones, right? I'm not immune to that. I have to remind myself to do this. I even get these funny glasses that I'll put on. They're called bed spectacles,
Yeah.
or prism glasses, where you can put these glasses on and they reflect down, so you can read your book.
No way.
Yeah, and you can protect the integrity of your neck.
Because I'm a big read-in bedder. I do enjoy reading. I get 4 pages in and I'm gone. But that's been an issue for me, because I'll just hold the book up.
And your shoulders get tired, hands go
yeah.
numb, that kind of stuff.
Where do you get those glasses?
You can get them on Amazon for like $12. It's
And what
nothing.
did you call them?
Bed spectacles.
Bed spectacles.
Or prism glasses. You could look under both.
So you can have your book here, sitting on in your cozy chair or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you look up and you do like that?
Well, I introduce people to them on my decompression tables, because we lay them back down, and there's a screen where they can watch
Oh, yeah.
scenery, like a beach scene, to help them relax.
Yeah.
And they'll put these on, and they're like, oh, because now they can lay back and they don't have to lift their head up to see the screen. They can just put these on and see through.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so when people come to you, does it all begin with an actual just exam and potential adjustment? Do you want them to bring medical records with them if they've been seeing somebody? What should they do?
If they know they're a disc patient, usually they'll have an MRI already. What they'll do is they'll come in on our first day. I ask questions.
Yeah.
I ask questions. I try to paint a good picture to see if they're a good candidate. And rather than do an adjustment, I do a decompression trial session for them.
Okay.
I call it visit 0, right? So we go 50% of their body weight minus 10 pounds, and I want to see how they respond. And most of the time they'll get up and they'll say, I feel taller, I feel looser, I feel lighter. Not necessarily that my pain is way better, but just subtle changes. And even those are positive. I get some people that will have a little bit of a spasm, because when we bring them back up on gravity, that nerve root can be impinged again, and sometimes they don't like it. So it is possible for that, but we do a big history just to see where they're at. And then I'll do x-rays. I like to spend time with x-rays so I can be very specific on what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I'll bring them back for another visit, and then I'll go over those x-rays and kind of go over a game plan with them.
So if I'm remembering correctly, it's a decompression table.
The DRX
So
9000.
all
Yep.
you're doing is the patient is lying there, right? I mean, you're not turned upside down. You're not really doing anything.
No, they go from a standing position, and the hydraulics on the system brings them down gently. And when you're
Okay.
in pain, you have a disc problem, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these tables, you have to kind of like get on and lay back, and that's hard to do. So
Okay.
this actually
It does the work for you.
It helps keep them relaxed, so we can actually decompress it.
And as a general, is there a general rule of thumb, Doug, that somebody is going to come back about X number of times, or it truly varies?
I do. Like at Disc Centers of America, we have wonderful protocols. I have a book this thick, full of, rules. And my office, I have 3 categories. There's disc bulge, there's a disc herniation, which is just worse. It's just now it's actually dances on the nerve root, and I also have advanced degeneration.
Okay, let me show people then how they can get in touch with you, and you can find out which of those categories you fall into, knowing it all begins first with him wanting to hear you and your story. So the phone number at Disc Centers of America is 580-4280. You can also learn more on their website, ChattanoogaDiscCenter.com. Let him get you feeling better, and you heard it from him himself. He's actually walked that walk himself, so he knows what you're going through.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.